Okay, now I'm recording. Good. All right. So I'm going to talk about marketing today, and a little of my background for all I see is a frozen picture of Kelly. I think he went off for wine, probably. Um, my
No, I'm
history.
right here. You see
Okay.
a frozen picture of me,
Oh, I did. Yeah, but that's okay. It's
but it
probably
switched to you now?
I don't know. I see you, but that's okay. Um,
I don't want you to see me.
I started out in sales for a long time, and then I went to work for the city of Tempe, which is a little college town, and I worked in IT. But the last 16 years of that 22-year stint, I was the webmaster. So I took care of a website for a city, which is a little different than a business because it's mostly, you want to know if a street light's out or not, or if a street light's out, you want to report it. It's a little different, but still the same kind of thing. Marketing really helps. So I'm going to cover a lot of stuff here, and go ahead and interrupt me with questions as we go along if you want. I'll start out talking about websites. I actually have two different websites that do two different things for me because I'm a geek and I need to do that anyway. I've got one that's my fancy one, which does just my photography stuff and my training stuff. And I've got another one that does all the other little things that the other one doesn't do, FTPing and things like that. That's not usually something people need, but we'll talk about the one that I have and the pros and cons and things that you want to look for. And I'll go into detail on that at the end, actually. But of course, you've got to have a website. Is there anybody here that doesn't have a website yet? Oh, Bob, you got to have a website. Tony. Okay, so we'll talk about that. It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier than you think. Instagram and Facebook, that's the place that you're going to get the most exposure, unfortunately. There's some little tricks with that. First of all, you're using somebody else's system. And you got to remember that the reason that they do what they do is to mine the data from the people who are using it. That's it. That's why it's free. They want to know, who you are, what you're buying, what you're looking at. There's all kinds of things involved in that. The reason that they have censorship, like why I can't post a lot of my fine art nude pictures, is because they're selling the data. They don't care if there's a nipple in it. They're selling the data, and they want that data to be clean because they're selling it to people and it needs to be clean. So they've decided, all right, well, if you're going to put that on there, we're going to slap your hand and say no, because we're selling this data. They don't say that, but they're selling it. And that's the whole reason for it. Social media bothered me to a point where I started a new way of marketing, because someday I think they're going to go away, or they're going to move away from it and go to new things. And I just don't want to follow and start a whole new thing. So I started a mailing list. MailChimp lets you do that with up to 2,000 people without charging you a dime. And I send out a weekly message at least every Wednesday to people. And I've got 600 people following me. When I post something on Facebook, I might get 100, 150 people look at it and see it. I want more to see that. And I want to control what they see. I want to control the quality they see it. And I want to be able to say whatever I want. So I started that mailing list about a year and a half ago. I can tell you exactly 69 weeks ago, because I just posted number 69 the other day. So there are 600 people who see those pictures, or at least get a link, and it links right to my website. So basically it brings people to the website. And when I'm posting pictures throughout the week, I'm censoring them and they look terrible because of all the compression. And they can be guaranteed that they'll at least see those pictures in good quality, uncensored, and a little story on the side of what I've been up to, what kind of shoots I've done, and any kind of things going on in my life. So it personalizes me to my followers because they can see what's going on with me if they care about an older guy. So I kind of like the idea of having a mailing list.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
are those recipients, are they largely customer types, clients, photography clients, or are they other photographers that want to learn? How much do you know the mix of those?
It's a little bit of everything. There's a lot of photographers on it. Almost all the local photographers that I know are subscribed, and a lot of the models are, and a lot of people who just like my work. Now, I should probably point out what my goals are, that so you can balance them with yours. I'm not looking at it. I'm not looking at this whole marketing thing based on um, assuming you all are trying to do the same thing as me. When I got into photography, I did it a year before I retired because I knew that daytime television would rot my brain. So I'm not going to do that. So I got into photography. There's a long story. My son wanted to do it. And I said, oh, here's my chance to do something with my son. He got out of it. I stayed in it because I fell in love with it. So I knew from the very beginning, nothing I shot would be something people would buy, period. They just won't. Except maybe them or their mothers, and that's probably about it. So I didn't get into it to make money. I got into it basically to have fun and be creative. You know, use my right brain. So that's counter to anybody who's on here who actually wants to make money. If you're shooting weddings and bar mitzvahs and seniors and all that, it's very different. You certainly wouldn't want to put any pictures like I do on your site because that would probably reduce your customers. So I ended up making money because I do training on the side. So and it goes really well. And I even went online a year and a half ago, and it's doing really, really well. I was really shocked. So it's one of those things. It's like golf. There's 12 people who do it, who get paid really well for it. And there's millions of people who do it and don't. But there's a lot of people who pay other people to teach them to golf. So that's kind of how that works. Anyway, we will be talking about how to generate that business, and how to even value your own work. So mailing list is good. Instagram and Facebook. By the way, Facebook, if you post during weekdays, it's good. Weekends, it's terrible. Instagram, it's the other way around. Weekends are usually good and weekdays are not. The reason Facebook's so good on weekdays is because people are working and they're playing on Facebook because they really don't want to work. Word of mouth is always the absolute best. If you can get your customers to get other customers for you, that's awesome. Your business card, in my case anyway, I kind of goof off with mine. My business cards on the back, well, you can't see because of the background. On the back of the card, it's all different pictures. I've got like 70 different pictures. And the front of the card is obviously one I don't hand out to people and say, hey, you want to shoot? No, but the point on that card, and you can't see it, is it's got my email address in one corner, my phone number in the other. And that's it. Not my email address, my website address. Website address on one corner, my phone number on the other. And that's it. There's no other information on here. I want them to go to my website. If they want to know about me, there's no way I'm going to tell them all about it on that little card. But I don't assume they're going to find my website, or people are going to stumble across it. The website is a tool. It's not like I got a website, I'm just going to sit back now and people are going to call me. It doesn't work that way. So one of the things that you should, I totally believe in the left brain, right brain thing. Left brain is very, very analytical. My wife is extremely left-brained. The creative side isn't there, but if you wanted to add numbers together or come up with some logical thing, it's perfect. It's perfect for that. The right side is the super creative side. If all you had was a right side, you wouldn't be able to tell what you're going to have, what your future is going to be, because it's like the here and now. No, I'm sorry. The right side is you can see the future. You're all creative. Everything's flowing. Everything's good. The left side is here it is. Here's the here and now. And what are we doing right this second? The trouble is doing business is usually very left-sided. And if we're going to be creative to be photographers, it uses a lot of the right side. So most people have a little bit of both. But you can, if you remember that you've got the two, that's good. But like doctors, for instance, I mean, they're really good doctors, but they're really terrible businessmen or businesswomen. So they need to hire somebody who does that, who probably is very left-brained. There's a book that would help everyone. If you haven't read it yet, it's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think it was written sometime in the 30s. It's still about how to deal with people. And it is a phenomenal book. It's like my Bible. I know how to how to communicate with people, keep them interested in the communication, and it has a lot to do with sales, how to make sales work. It's a book full of a lot of little tiny stories, but they're all very, very good in figuring out how to work with people, and how to close sales. I mean, it's awesome. That was my Bible before I went to work for the city of Tempe. And I'll tell you, you know, their typical city, well, we've always done it that way. They weren't ready for me. I sold them on so many projects I wanted to do that they had no idea what hit them. So I strongly suggest How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it's probably wrong, but I have a PDF. If you ask me for it, I could probably give it to you. Now I want to talk about your worth, what you charge. You know, when we first get started, we're going along, we're trying to figure out, are we going to make any money, or we're going to make any money? And then all of a sudden somebody, we've gotten good enough that somebody says, what's your rates? That's usually the turning point. It says, okay, now I'm worth, somebody thinks I'm worth something. So there you go. But most of the people on here are way past that. Let me tell you a little story. I was with a bunch of photographers. We met 1 week a year up in Colorado, and we would shoot all day, and we would edit pictures in the evening, and we'd swap stories and talk about how things were going. And this one woman was a librarian at a high school, and she did a lot of senior shoots and things, you know, the graduation stuff, because, well, she had all those connections, and that was great. And she was really a good photographer. She really knew how to work the models. I mean, she had names for things. That was so cute. You know, she would be shooting a girl, and she had the pee-pee pose, where the girl was there, you know, with her arms down kind of between her legs, or the Grand Tetons. She had names for all of that. It was really funny. And she was a little, she was a heavy-set woman, and she attracted those high school students. They felt comfortable working with her. She made them look good. They loved it. Oh, she had more business than she could handle, being a librarian. And one time she said, I think I'm going to quit and become a photographer, but that's a really scary thing to do. You know, I need to feed my kids and all that. And I encouraged her. I said, I've seen your work. I know how you work with people. Do it. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. And a month or two later, she messaged me and said, I did it. I quit my job and I'm doing photography full time. I said, you'll be fine. You're going to kill it. The next year, I asked her how she was doing, and she was pretty happy. And she said, I did all right. I didn't make as much money as I wanted to. I said, well, how many other photographers are in town? Because she's from a small town. And she said, there's 2 other ones, and they're not very good. And I said, well, if you don't mind, how much did you make? She said, I made $30,000. I said, oh, yeah, well, no, I think you can do a lot better than that. That's easy. She said, well, I don't know how to increase it. I said, it's easy. You double your rates. And she said, I can't double my rates. I said, oh, yeah, you can double your rates. Do it. And through the whole week, we're talking about it. I said, no, you need to double your rates. You're fine. You just double your rates. You'll do just fine. So she did. She doubled her rates. I didn't really hear from her for the year. And then we met up the next year. She was all smiles. I said, so how did you do? And she said, well, I made $75,000 last year. I went, all right. What did you do? And she said, well, I doubled my rates. I said, awesome. She got actually more business when she doubled her rates because the public saw her as being more valuable as a photographer than the other two, which actually she was way more valuable than the other two, but they were willing to pay that. And she's still doing amazing. So here's the deal with that. Don't ever use someone else's budget as a way for you to determine your value. That's not your problem. And it's not anything you can control anyway. If everybody else in town is charging $500 for something, it does not mean you should charge $500 for something and compete with the bottom feeders. No, don't do that. You're worth more than that. You decide what you're worth and you put that out there, and the people who decide they want to work with you are going to pay that money. If they don't have it in their budget, they're going to find a way to pay for it anyway. So don't compete with the bottom feeders. Here's the deal there. If you've got, let's say you've got wedding photographers, you've always got the one who'll do it for $500. So you know that it's costing them money to shoot a wedding at $500 because they're going to be editing pictures for 3 days and all. There's no way it's worth that. Okay, but everybody else is charging $500. It's like, no. Then you got the $3,000 wedding photographer. It's good, making some money, doing okay. Then you've got the $10,000 wedding photographer, doing a lot better, usually has a crew, doing video, the whole thing. So there's, of course, more costs involved, but they're making a lot of money. And of course, it's not just $10,000. There's some that charge $50,000. And of course, they're good. You can't do that and show up at a wedding with a Canon Rebel, and one lens. That just doesn't work. So you got to be good for that, of course. But and style makes a big difference there. Having a good style will sell that product for you. But here's the deal. No one who pays $3,000 for a wedding photographer is even going to look at the $500 ones. And nobody who's going to spend $10,000 for a wedding photographer is ever going to look at the other two. They know the value of those pictures. So does the $3,000. The ones that do it for $500, they're never going to look at any of the other people to have it done. So don't worry about it. You're not competing with the people at $500. What you're doing is you're saying, this is how much I'm worth. If you don't have the budget for it, well, then there's people who will do it for you at $500. So don't ever let their budget determine what you're going to sell it for. So there's that. Your style is really important there, though. We talked about style the other day, I think. But style is everything. You all follow people that have a style, and you can see their pictures and you go, oh, that's one of his. Oh, that's one of hers. It's very obvious. A bunch of you have styles. So there you go. Here's the deal. When they're looking for a wedding photographer, which, by the way, I would never suggest anyone do unless they're really looking for a lot of money. If they look at a bunch of different ones and yours stands out like, oh my God, look at these pictures. These are phenomenal. You can charge $10,000. You're going to get it because they want those pictures. Okay, the $500 one, no, it could have been done with a cell phone, most likely. They're not going to have style, or they're not going to sell it for $500 because they won't have enough time to do to do what they want to do. So, any questions about that? Does it make sense? Any epiphanies going on? No? Okay, cool. Let's see. Yeah, I'm a fast talker.
I do have one question.
Sure.
So where do you start as far as you've never charged before at all?
I'd say come up with some rates. And if you do it at first and you just want to test, then test your rates. Run them a little low to start with and get some clients. It's hard at first because if you're brand new and you're just getting started, really you should shoot with anybody you can, because you got to work on that style and you've got to have work in order to work on that style. So if you've got the person, you do your best, and you're going to look back on it. Just know you're going to look back on it in 2 years going, oh my God, that's terrible. It isn't now, and that's fine. And it'll be terrible because where you are in 2 years, you'll look back and go, oh, I could have done so much better with my lighting, with this and with that. And it takes that time to learn all those things, to pay your dues, as people say. But yeah, sometimes you start out for free. I mean, I still do a lot of shoots for free, but you know what? The other day, I'll show you the system in a little bit. I got a message that somebody just requested an appointment at this time, and they picked the Goldilocks plan, and it's $1,600 for a 5-hour shoot of just a model. It's for what it is I do. It's like, okay, I make sure they all understand that you see this work that I'm doing, that's what you're paying for, is that. And I can't even tell you what it's going to look like. But anyway, so yeah, somebody said it's worth it to pay that much to have him take pictures of me like the ones he takes. And I'm sure it's the style. If all my stuff looked like it was from a cell phone, I don't think I could charge that. So yeah, it's a build-up thing. So I take it you're just starting out, Kim?
Sorry, had to unmute myself. Yeah.
Okay. How long?
I've been doing photography for a while, but just for like my own, for my own pleasure or whatever. I've right now I'm in the process of like friends and. Do you want me to take pictures?
Try to say no whenever they say a wedding, okay? It's like,
I definitely do not have the patience for a wedding. That takes a special person. I am not that person.
Yeah.
Know thyself. I would be a second shooter for somebody, but I don't want that responsibility. I have a full-time job, and I'm really super, super busy with that. So yeah, I know I don't have the patience with that.
Oh yeah. Second shooters, by the way, are awesome because you can take a picture of the little boy who's a ring bearer with his finger up his nose. I mean, that's the cool pictures, right? Those are the ones they love the most anyway.
Can I throw a tidbit in?
Sure.
Kim, something that really works well is to try to do a model call where you reach out to your friends and you're very specific about your intentions. You say, I need a little girl with red hair on Tuesday from 6 to 8, and you need to bring a big blue frilly dress, and I'm going to give you 3 images, and if you give me the right to use that on my website. You start building that way, and then you offer a price for other images you take. So it's not a bait and switch. It's just compounding your marketing, and then she's going to post them with your logo on them, and she's going to tell more of her friends about it. You can then do more model calls, or you can evolve your business that way.
Gotcha. So
I like that idea.
yeah, so you're saying at the photo shoot, I would take a bunch of pictures, not just 3, like walk away with showing her 3. I would have more to show her, and if she wanted more than just the 3, she would purchase those.
Absolutely. Your purpose for taking those pictures is to use it for future marketing. So you're going to take the best images you can, and in different poses, different lights, different outfits, whatever you choose, whatever your intention is, and then you're going to build on that. The more you take that are wonderful, let's say you only offer them at $100 a piece for the JPEGs at first. That's money that you've not made before.
Sure.
And those are photographs that you can play with editing, that you can work on, that you can build and put back into your portfolio and on your website.
Awesome. Thank you.
And my my model release that everybody has to sign is like 5 or 6 paragraphs long, and every one of them sounds a lot like the seagulls on Finding Nemo. Mine, 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 mine. Everything about the picture is mine. If it gets modified, it's mine. Every one of the paragraphs basically says, you're signing away everything here. I would probably have a paragraph taking their car, except I've seen the models in their cars and I don't want any of their cars. But yeah, and that way, if I sell it for a book cover, for a romance book cover, or somebody wants it to do some composites, it doesn't matter. It's mine, And I forward them money. If I make money on it, they make money on it. But there's never any promises except that that image belongs to me now, and they signed it off. So I can share that one with people if they want. But yeah, for me, I'm still doing free ones, and I post them out there. But it attracts attention for both the training part and people who spend $1,600 occasionally for a shoot from time to time. I actually don't like doing paid ones because then they can tell me what they want. And no, you pay me, I'm going to do what I do, and that's what you're paying for. I'm trying to read the comments here too. Yeah, still life. The thing is trying to be original too. But that all comes from practice. It really takes a couple of years for most people to really get it down and just do it different. The thing I've learned the most about doing that is, especially if you do something 2 or 3 times in a row that, oh, yeah, this works, stop and look around and think, am I doing this right? Is this the most efficient? Is this the coolest angle? Should I try it over here? Should I try it over there? That all adds to the style in the long run. So that's all important. Facebook and Instagram, as much as I knock them, that's where I get most of the interest in my work. Be careful though, if you post anything to either of those and you actually put a link in, they automatically reduce the amount of people who see it by probably 75% less, because they're not there to market you. They're there to scrape information from people. Just remember that. Okay.
Is it true that if I post something on, say, like my photography page on Facebook, and then I share it with my personal Facebook, is the algorithm that not as many people see it on my personal Facebook? I had heard that. I'm not sure if that's true.
I think that's true with any kind of sharing.
Gotcha.
The sharing just reduces it.
Sorry.
That's okay. Everybody's got a dog. The dog just put its paws over its ears.
I was going to comment. I find that to be true. Sometimes when I post stuff from my photography page onto my personal, I don't get as many. I might get 1 or 3 people. Sometimes I wonder if there's actually people are actually seeing it.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. Can I add something, Dave Kelly, to what that comment was? This is Panita.
Oh, absolutely.
I had noticed the same thing about page versus personal. And I reached out to someone that, does Facebook for a living, and, pages are a revenue stream in terms of how they really want the information assimilated. They want you to pay for it, having it done with ads and things of that sort. On the other hand, they will, send you a nastygram if they feel you're doing business on your personal page. So it's like a catch-22. You have to be, there's a line that you have to watch and make sure you don't cross that on the personal. People have lost their personal pages if they feel they're doing business on it. And the other young lady that had made mention of when you put a link in to go somewhere, it seems as though the post does not get distributed as much. The idea behind that, I was told, is that Facebook wants you to be on Facebook for as long a period of time as possible. Keep in mind, they're traded on the stock market, okay? They were making money even when they weren't making money because of the ability of reaching people. So if you go away to another link, and especially if you're going to a product that's not theirs, they're not trying to help you with that. Now that Facebook had made the purchase of Instagram, I guess, a couple of years ago, that's kind of an interesting partnership there. And I think Kelly may have posted something about the Instagram in f-stoppers and how there's a lot of fake accounts, and it doesn't seem like Instagram, i.e. Facebook, is doing anything about trying to get rid of them, all these subscribers that people claim they have. And they wouldn't do it. I mean, of course they're not going to do it. Their value is based on, engagement, how many people are actually utilizing the tool. So it's not in their interest to do that. And I found it all very interesting that Pages is not hardly feeding any of my posts that I put on it there unless I pay. When I pay my ads, all of a sudden, even my organic reach goes up. It's the most amazing thing.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a comment. Some people prefer Instagram more than Facebook. Is that fake accounts are called bots. You just ignore them. And I've been told that this happens to a lot of people. But then Dave, you said that you use something more than a weekend. Was it Instagram than Facebook more the week?
Yeah, Facebook works best. I get the most likes on weekdays, and on Instagram, I get the most likes on weekends.
I always thought that people are going more to Instagram than Facebook, because Facebook ads can be very, very complicated. Instagram, it's more simplified, and I thought people would like that better. Okay, maybe that's just me.
The number of people who actually like my images, the number is a lot higher on Instagram.
Yeah.
And yeah. I've started getting about half of my business comes from Instagram now. So the messaging system there.
And also Instagram is one of those, Dave, don't you find, if you were to look at your insights, you'd be able to see that it's more of a younger generation. Yeah. Women in their, well, not necessarily women, but people in their 20s to 30s are Instagram users. My other clients, though, that, I call them my celebration clients, the ladies celebrating, they reached 40 or 50 or a birthday or a divorce or whatever, Facebook users, 40s and 50s, Facebook users, younger people, 20s and 30s, Instagram. A lot of my younger clients, they don't have Facebook at all.
That's us chasing them around. MySpace was real popular for a while until all of us gray hairs got on there and they ran over to Facebook. Now we're all on Facebook and they all run over to Instagram because they don't want grandpa to see what it is that they're doing, I guess. So anyway, I've watched that actual whole movement from the beginning. So
hey, Dave.
Yeah.
Real quick, just about your business pages. Some people are not aware of this. If you do not have a second person as an admin, somebody you trust, a friend, a family member, make them an admin on your account for your business page. Because if you don't, this happened to a friend of mine about 2 years ago. She woke up one morning, somehow, probably a hack, she was disconnected from her business page. She had 5,000 followers on her business page, and she immediately emailed Facebook. But before they responded, they had wiped out the business page because there was no admin on it. So you always want to have at least one, if not two people that are admins, not just moderators. You need at least one other admin, somebody who can give you back admin status.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, that adds to why I have my mailing list. Every
good
week,
point there too.
I've got an exposure to at least 600 people, and I got to that point in 69 weeks and not pushing it that hard. Because every time I do push it, I put a link in there, and of course the link doesn't get seen by very many people. So there you go. So anyway. Okay, so hopefully none of you get offended by a little nudity, because I'm about ready to go to my website and there's some on there. One of the first things I researched is do they have a problem with that? They only have a problem with it if somebody complains about it. So I'm good. So I'm going to start showing you about websites here. And again, as people, this is a good conversation. If anybody Anybody has comments, say so. Okay, I use Squarespace, which is really weird. It's almost like a cop-out because I was a webmaster. So here I go with somebody who it's a completely turnkey system. There's no HTML in it at all. Drag and drop and you get your stuff, your stuff is there. If I'm on my site and I press the escape key, it comes up and, well, it's supposed to come up. Yeah, it's going to come up with the admin mode. And as easy as that, I can now get into all of the features, all of the pages, make any kind of changes I want. There's my pages. If I want to look at a particular newsletter, I can click on it. There it is. I can make changes. I can edit it. I can do whatever I want with it. There's some important things about websites. First of all, the easier it is to modify, the better chances you'll modify it yourself and regularly. And that's important. Here's the deal. And this changes constantly. The SEO, or the keywords that you can put with a page, used to be really important. Like I would go in and say, well, this is a newsletter, and I'd put in dates. I'd put everything about the newsletter in there. It was time consuming and all that. But that was basically telling Google and all the other search engines, they could look at that and they know all about the page and they say, okay, cool, that's what it is. They don't trust that anymore. And there's a good reason for not trusting that. Basically, if you put in words that didn't apply or weren't actually used in your text, it would put you down in the rankings. I'll tell you a funny story. When I first started, we were the 12th city to go online. So that tells you how long ago. It was 94, 95. There were actually porn sites on at that time already. So I went to one just to look. I was a webmaster and I was learning, right?
Come get it.
And it's like, wow, that's pretty awesome. I wonder how they did that. So of course I would switch to the HTML. And I found out back then the search engines were pretty wimpy, and all they could do is scrape the words, and they assumed that's what it was about. So I noticed that in the comments section of one of these sites, it had every one of the sex-related words they could think of 20 times. I said, that's interesting. So I went to my site, which was the city of Tempe, and I put the word Phoenix 20 times and Glendale, all the towns around us, put the names of those towns in 20 times in the comments. And sure enough, when people looked up the city of Phoenix, Tempe came up first. If they looked up Glendale, Tempe came up first, because I had the name of their town more often in my comments than they did. And they were all shaking their head like, how are you coming up first on all of these? Of course, that's long gone. You can't do that anymore and get away with it. But the key is to change your website regularly. By regularly, I mean at least once a week. If you go in and you change just one word or just put a space behind something, it changes the size of the page, and that tells the search engine you've modified the page. It's fresh information. If it's fresh information, we're going to put it at the top. Maybe not the very top, but not the bottom either. It's going to stay up and keep, afloat, because it's not Aunt Martha's where she put recipes in 1998 and hasn't touched it since. That's going to be almost impossible to even find on Google because it's not fresh information. That's what they're looking for. So keeping it updated is really important. Just change some things on some pages from time to time, and that's all it takes. They see the size changed and went, oh, it's different. Let's scan it again. And the more often you do that, the higher up you go in the let's go check again status. They may come look at your site once every month and see if anything's changed. If you change something a couple of times, now you get on the 2-week plan. You change things a few times. Oh, now you're on the 2 or 3 every 2 or 3 days. If you're changing it constantly, they'll check it every hour. It's no big deal for them because they want to get the stuff that's fresh. So that's important. The other thing I found is important is if you have a website that says Hey, I'm great. Here's my picture. Here's my phone number. Call me and I'll sell you something. Nobody cares about those. They don't want those. We're in the kind of industry where go ahead and start a little blog. Talk about lighting. You don't have to tell them everything you've ever learned about lighting, but you can say, if you're using a cell phone and you're trying to take a picture, try doing this. What you're doing is you're showing them that you know what you're talking about. And they're going to go out and they're going to do that. I learned that on their website. And they're going to come back. A website that just has a picture and a phone number, they're never going to come back to it again. So make your site interesting if you can. We're lucky because we can put pictures on that are actually part of what we do. But also, if you can give them some information, let them have it. I did a bunch of, I think I've got 40 blogs on mine. I stopped adding new ones because I did the training site. Now any new ideas I have, I put them on there. But I've got everything from lighting information to how to pick a photographer to how the whole photographer model thing works. Whatever came to mind, I would do a little blog on it. And so there's a lot of information that people can see. They might walk away and never buy anything from me, but they learned something. And what's wrong with that? That's not bad. But I proved that I knew what I was talking about. So I have a few pages. This is how long my site is. That's the training site and the other one. And every week I add at least the one more page to my other things. But here's some other aspects that are nice. I've got, let me go back to just being on my site, and I'll show you some features that you might want to add to yours, and it'll work on other people's, not just Squarespace. There's Wix and there's a bunch of others too. So whatever works for you is good. My connection's unstable. Is it talking about my connection or me? Okay, so this is my website. I have a cover page, and that's what this is. It shows pictures. All the time I was a webmaster, I kept telling people, don't have cover pages. They're wasted. There's no information there. It doesn't give them anything that they want, because the different departments go, oh, I want them to see how cool the refuse department is. And I said, there is no cool the refuse department. Just take them to your homepage. In photography, on the other hand, you want to show off your stuff. So why not? So I have a page that you go to, and then you enter the site. And in my case, or enter the training site. So you got the two. So there's actually a little more reason for it since then. Now, when you're editing, I'm not going to go to the edit mode to show you, but if I was in the edit mode, the menus across this top here, this menu section, you can see they're all drop downs and things. If I actually, I don't know, maybe it'll do it now. Yeah. If I was on a cell phone, that's what it would look like. And you can see the menus. So basically, it's really important, and all of them do it now. It's got to be able to work on a cell phone or an iPad, because over 50% of the people are looking at it with an iPhone or with a phone or a pad. So fortunately, I got out of it before I had to make it work on both, because it's harder to do. So I have an area here where I can say, I explain rates and all of that. But for booking appointments, you're going to see up here that it moves to Square Up. Most of you probably have the Square Up thing where you can run your credit card and run the client's credit card and get money from them. You need to be able to do that when they show up and say, I want to pay you, and you got to take their money. Square Up, PayPal, there's a bunch of different ones that do. Square Up is pretty cool because they have an appointment system. This appointment system is awesome, and it's free. That's part of the awesome part. It's free if it's just you. If you had a hair salon and you had 5 chairs busy, they would charge you for those. But it doesn't cost me a dime. Of course, they get money off of every sale that I make, so it's not like they're totally, free. But here's all my rates and what they are. Now, the lady I told you about the other day, she hit this one, and it explains. She can see what it's all about, and she booked it, and she picked. It actually shows on the calendar when I'm available, and it's the Google Calendar. So I just keep my Google Calendar. If I go on vacation from here to here, I put it in my Google Calendar, and then it's not available for them to pick those days. So they can pick a day, they can pick a time. It emails me and says, this person wants this on this day. Do you want to do it? And I can talk to them if I need to move it or chat with them about what they want, whatever I want to do. As soon as I press go ahead and book it, it bills them and I get paid. So it's pretty awesome. I mean, it's all complete and it's done and it's free and it works with your website. So there's nothing wrong at all with, you know, oh, I just made some money. You know, that's not bad at all. So there's a way that you can do something for free. That's very, very handy. I told you about MailChimp already. That's free if you have less than 2,000 subscribers. So you can go with that. And that's that in my site. If I go to my site, watch what happens. If I just go in here and sit for a bit, I'm sure this has happened to a lot of you. It's going to pop up and ask somebody if they want to subscribe. And of course, they can close it, but it bugs them for a subscription. It's not doing it. I think it may be because I'm sharing the screen, but typically a thing comes up. I have two of those actually. On the training site, it pops up and asks if they want to sign up for the training mailing list, and that's where I announce new things that they can come see. So that's pretty awesome. And like I said, doesn't cost anything to add those features. Let's see on my thing here. I actually took notes and I wrote it in a way I can actually read them, which is really weird. Never pay anybody for exposure. When somebody says, "Oh, we can increase your viewers," no, don't. It's first of all, if for a while, I don't know if they're still doing it, but I could pay somebody $500 and they say, "Oh, we can increase the number of people who see your site and push you way up on the ratings in no time." And all they were doing is they were building bot sites that had links to yours. And when the search engines saw those sites with links, they assumed your site was important, so they would bump you up. Now they look at the same thing and they bump you down because they know you paid for it. So it's not real. So does anybody have any questions or comments? Did you learn anything?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Dave, I have a question for you.
Sure.
In your Squarespace, the pictures rotate on their own. That's all coded by Squarespace easily, I assume?
Yes. Yeah. It comes up and says, what pictures would you like in there? I drop them in a little box and, do my thing. Let me show you how, would you like to see how easy it is?
Of course.
Okay. Well, let me share.
I didn't know we could do that. Thanks. I learned something.
Well, it depends a lot on which theme you pick because different themes work differently. And you have to decide, well, which one's going to do, my photography best. All right. Pretty sure.
And the other question I have, you mentioned a PDF and a couple other things. How do we get in touch with you for that? Would it be okay to go through your website?
Just message me on Facebook.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I forgot to push the share button. There we go. I'm sharing the whole screen. All right, that works too. All right, so I'm going to play around with one of my newsletters, and they can actually go look at any one of my newsletters from day one. I'm going to have to do something soon because that's going to get really long. I'll just pick a random one here and hit escape. By the way, for models, they should have 10 or 12 pictures, period. The best 10 or 12 pictures they've ever taken on the site. because they're going to be judged on all of them, and the worst one's going to be the one that you don't want to have. So they all need to be perfect. And in the case of a photographer, of course, you don't want things that are stinkers on there, but the more pictures you have, especially if there's style exuding from them, that's so they can see more and more and go, okay, my stuff's going to look like this because they all look like this, then they're pretty happy with that. Okay, so I'm in this page here. Down here, I've got this right here is a, you can flip through them and see the different pictures. Okay, if I decide I want to edit that, puts in the edit mode. I say, well, I want to edit that. It pops up and says, okay, what pictures do you want to have in there? I can delete them, I can add new ones, do whatever I want, and it adds it to those. Now, those aren't the ones that cycle through, because this isn't that kind of gallery. I didn't want it to cycle for them. They can sit and look at one for a while and then flip to the next one and flip to the next one. If I pick a different kind of gallery, it would show it differently. And those are the kinds of galleries, like if it was this picture and it rotated, it's just a different kind of gallery where it does it automatically and switches through. The editing's the same. You drop in the pictures you want, and that's what you get.
You seem to have different galleries on different pages as well. Is that correct?
I do, yeah. I don't, I create the galleries are created automatically by just dumping things in there. They don't name them or anything. It gives me an option to use a gallery that's already out there, but I don't typically. The cover page is pretty cool. It's very different than any other page because it has that has the media that flips through, and here it's a little bit like the other one. I put in here what I want to flip across the front page and in what order. I mean, I can say, well, I want her to be first when people come into the page, and that's what they're going to see first. So, but it's super, super easy to edit a page and work with it. I mean, an hour playing around, it's like, oh, that's how that works. It's pretty simple. The text area, there's only one thing that, and a lot of things. I use a WordPress site also, and they have used a lot of the same features that I'm showing here. I stopped using them for a couple of years, and when I went back, oh man, they look a lot like Squarespace now. They're not quite as fancy, but I want to go to a regular page and just show you how text works.
Is Squarespace easier than WordPress?
Way easier than WordPress.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, every time I have to show somebody WordPress, it's like, okay, I have to remember it now. So if I want to put something different in here, if I click, let me go to edit first. If I say edit, it says, okay, from this point on, everything is editable. There's these little bubbles show up in between things. And if I click on the bubble, it says, what would you like to insert here? And you tell it, and then that's what gets inserted there. If it's more text, if it's an image, whatever you want to do, it comes up with whatever is necessary. Or if you say text, it comes up with a new text box you can put stuff in. But yeah, super easy. This would normally be full size. If you just pick it up and you drag it over to the side, it becomes a column over here, so you can put text over there. It feels very natural. I got one for my wife and my daughter because they're both photographers a little bit. You know, they play around. And I showed them a couple of quick little things, and they do their own thing. No problem at all. So, yeah, it's really easy to work with.
Dave,
yeah.
Can you block right clicks on this?
Yes. It doesn't mean they still can't do
Screen capture.
Yeah, they can still do screen captures. Let me try and do a right click on a regular picture here.
Thanks.
Yeah, there's a place that you put some code in, and that code goes on the top of every page automatically after that. It's easy to find and easy to do. And it does the well, I don't have it turned on this one, but I don't know what it would have saved for sure. But yeah, you can do that, the right click thing. Most people still, they'll do the, what am I trying to say here? They'll do the screenshots anyway. Now, I created an art store for those of you who sell things. This is actually a program I bought on for $200. It's a lifetime subscription, so I get updates and the whole works, and it's unlimited. If I did websites for other people, that same $200 lets me do this on each of their pages if I want. And I can pick what I want and say, okay, bodyscapes, and it shows the pictures. Say, well, I want that one, and it down here somewhere is supposed to give me. Of course, it's not going to work if I'm demonstrating it here. It's supposed to give me a little shopping cart and let me start adding things in the shopping cart. I may not have done it to this particular gallery. It's kind of a complicated system, but once you get it down, it's really pretty easy. And I made some sales off of it, which is pretty nice. Don't know why it's not showing us prices. It could be Safari. Safari doesn't work on an awful lot of stuff anymore. They keep increasing the security to the point where if it's not a really super standard page, if it's doing anything special, it's like, nope, not going to do that. My training site doesn't work with Safari right now. So it's really kind of weird.
Have you used SmugMug before?
I have SmugMug and what's the other one?
Shelter or Zenfolio?
Zenfolio, yeah. I've used both of those before. I got really mad when they like quadrupled the price together. Both of them did at the same time. It's like, wow, that's a lot. And they seemed complicated to me. And remember, I'm a webmaster, I'm a geek, and they seemed complicated to me. But like anything else, it can be complicated until you learn how to use it, and then it's fine. And it's easy.
Hey Dave.
Yeah.
Would you prefer SmugMug or Zenfolio? Because I'm sort of a webmaster too.
Well, they keep changing, and it's been a while since I've looked. So I don't know what they've done lately.
Because I use Zenfolio, and I also use Art Storefronts. I do a lot of SharePoint work.
SharePoint. Well, if you do SharePoint, then you're a pro. Yeah, I think Zenfolio is the last one I played with, and I was pretty impressed with what it would do. But I still wanted to do more. So when I first started, I struggled with WordPress for 2 months. I'm sorry, 2 years. And my son finally said, "Why don't you just do SharePoint? You're not a webmaster anymore. You don't have to do that stuff." I said, all right. And did I say SharePoint? I meant Squarespace. So I went to Squarespace and went, this is actually fun. This is fine. I can get back to doing photography, which is what I really wanted to do. So yeah.
Dave, what's the program you're using there for selling your prints or whatever? The one you were just showing us, what's that program?
Wow. Just a second. That's from a company called, it's going to make, they have a symbol there and they're making me log in to know.
Sorry.
I owned it for a few years before I actually put it back into Imagely. Let me share my screen.
Yeah, I know the company. Yeah.
Okay.
Are you?
There we
Hey,
go.
Dave, are you hosting that with your Squarespace, or is that your WordPress site? That's your WordPress, isn't
It's
it?
WordPress, yeah, and I actually have it running on my own server. So, I have a little bit more control over it. I like it better. And if I had enough traffic, I would put it on something better than my actual home network, but I don't. So I'm good with that. It's there and it's available. But I'm really picky. I'm like if any of you remember Seinfeld and the Soup Nazi, if I have somebody who specifically asks for a certain model and how many nudes do I have of her, I completely ignore them and block them if I can. I don't subscribe to stalkers. And sorry. Even if they're not, no, you don't ask for a specific one. That's wrong. Because I can, because I don't care. That's just me. Yeah. Anybody else have questions? Anything at all? Except why your dog has fleas. That I can't help you with. No questions? Let me look at the comments here. The last one's what I think of WordPress. You want to see my WordPress site and what I have to go through and how different it looks? Be happy to. For those who are geeky, I actually host my WordPress site on a QNAP NAS server at home. So I actually have multiple sites. So I can go to a particular site here and do what I want. Here's the store, and I can look at the dashboard. And then it gives me all of the information that I need to know about how many pages there are and that kind of thing. If I click on pages, say I look at all the pages, you can see it's a little more complicated than the other one, than Squarespace is. Then I go to particular ones and hit edit. So there's a little more to it. Now in this case, all of them are galleries that are controlled by the other program. So only the home page would be different. But see, you can decide how much you charge for everything right here. You build up your galleries with this one, and then you create a page and put a gallery on it. And it's actually pretty easy once you play with it for a while. Here's metrics, so you can get how many people are hitting a page. It's pretty neat, but it's very geeky. It's not for people who are faint of heart when it comes to technology at all.
Question, Dave.
Sure.
So how much time do you spend on this kind of technology every week?
Oh, the website?
Right.
I'd say every week I do the weekly newsletter, and it takes me about a half an hour. And that's including going to MailChimp and sending it out to the 600 people. It's actually pretty simple. And it's not a problem. It's what I do is I make a copy of the last newsletter, and then I just change all the names to protect the innocent and put new pictures in it. And most of it is me typing up what it is I did this last week and then correcting all the misspellings, which is probably the other half of the time. So it's it doesn't take long. But the important part is, if I wanted to add something to a page or to a gallery, for the longest time, I'm still sharing. Okay. I was trying to promote my site. This is before I had a mailing list, and I had fine art nude galleries. And it's like, okay, I would post a picture on Facebook, and of course I would have censorship all over it. And I would say, if you want to see this, go to my website and go to Gallery 4. And that would then expose them to Gallery 4, and they'd dig through it and they'd find the picture. And yeah, probably 50% or more of the people were just guys in their basement looking to see boobs. But it's the other 50 or the other 10%, whatever the good part is. Those are the people I was really looking for. I couldn't get around that, but because of what it is that I do. But I really do promote the art part. But yeah, doing each of those. When I was in England with a little MacBook Air, I was able to create a new newsletter once a week, every Wednesday. even from there, I still had all my pictures with me. So they weren't new pictures, but they got put on there. So pretty simple. Here's all the training pages. So yeah, they don't have any limits. It's really nice. Other questions? Now feel free to message me anytime. Not that I'll answer anytime, but message me if you've got questions and things. I'd be happy to answer them, or heck, I'll make up something.
Has anyone
If
has
you have
anyone
a question in the chat.
Oh, there's questions in the chat. Okay, let me stop the share here. I've been doing MailChimp now, well, for 69 weeks that I know of, because that's how many things that I've done, and it's kept going up and up. You can schedule them. Sometimes I'll do it early in the morning, and I'll say, okay, send this out at 7 p.m. and I'll get a message and go, oh, yeah, just went out to all the people. Yeah, I don't monitor campaigns and stuff. I get emails that say so many people clicked on it and all that, and I'm okay with it. Image size uploads. Yeah, Zenfolio doesn't like big ones. That's one of the other things I like about having my own website, especially the Squarespace. They've never complained about size. I can drop anything in there, and they'll resize it, but they don't resize it with compression. They resize it that's so, well, it doesn't have to be this big to be this clear, and they would do it. And I've never had one that wasn't right crystal clear on my picture. So there is that. I had to modify my my WordStar, not WordStar. Man, that dated me. My why did my mind just go blank? My WordPress. I modified my WordPress just the other day to allow basically any size image to be transferred. It's the nice part about being your own administrator on that one.
So on Squarespace, you don't have to modify the size. It won't make your website load slower if it's a big image.
No, it's going to resize it for you anyway.
Oh wow!
It resizes it to 2 or 3 different sizes, and then uses the proper one for the proper place. If it's thumbnails, it's going to use this size. If it's full size, it's going to be this size. So yeah, it's nice. Now upload. I'm in a place here where I don't have the best of internet, so I don't upload full size images. It takes too long. So I'll reduce them all down to 1280 across for the long side, and I transfer those over, and those look just fine. Because like I said, 57% of the people are using a phone or a pad. So it's not going to be a huge picture anyway. But yeah, it works fine. It never has complained to me. Even when it's forever.
I have one question. When you're uploading to Facebook, is there a specific size that you upload, like the sizing of it for whether it's Facebook or Instagram?
Now, there's a lot of talk about what size is best. If you like the sizes that my pictures are showing up, I do 1920 across the long side. I export them from Lightroom. No, actually, I always export full size from Lightroom, and I'll double click it. Now this is on a Mac. I'll double click it. It'll bring it up in the photo viewer thing, and I'll go in and say change the size, and I'll save it to a different folder, and that's the one that I'll put on Facebook. Because
okay.
Of course, Facebook complains if it's too big, and 1920 seems to be good. It's probably way bigger than it needs to be because people can screenshot a lot. But like I said, I don't sell a lot of my images. They're there to advertise training. If someone's, oh, I want to learn how to do skin like that. Cool. Go here. So really that's my reason for doing it. Well, actually my reason is because I just love doing these images and creating them. I'm one of those weirdos that loves sitting down and editing. I can edit for 3 or 4 hours, and I'll get 10 pictures if I do that, because it takes about 20 minutes. But I feel really good at the end. It's like I just created some art. So, and I bought a printer the other day, so I print some of my work only because I realized that when I die, my kids are going to format my drives and all my work's gone. I want them to at least have pictures to sell for 25 cents at the estate sale. So, any other questions?
Doesn't Facebook compress the images?
They still do. Even if I do 1920, I'm sure they make them smaller or do whatever. But I have noticed a lot of them, if you make Facebook full size on a 27-inch screen, you can get a really big, really good quality picture sometimes. So, you know, it just depends. I don't worry about people stealing my pictures because they're going to anyway. And I put my name on them, not because I would not put my name on them if I wasn't so old that I'll come across the picture, see, that's pretty cool, and then find out it's one of mine. If it didn't have my name on it, it's like, I want to do one like that. So it's one of those, I just do it to remind me it's mine. And I've changed something, you know, on, what were they saying about Instagram? They were stealing pictures, or on Instagram, those pictures are theirs and they can do whatever they want with them. Well, all of my Instagram pictures now are square. They're on a black background and they have my name in big red letters on the side or across the bottom, depends on if it's portrait. And that's what I post on there. So if they want to steal it, they can steal it or use it, but it's going to have my name in great big letters on the side, not in the picture. So that's a cool way to do that. Advertise yourself in that, and make sure that the picture isn't cropped. I basically have those two templates. I'll just drag the picture in and then I'll flatten that and save it out as a JPEG and put that on Instagram. And by the way, most of the time when Facebook and Instagram say in their little user thing that no one reads that those pictures belong to them, that's just their legal department saying, if somebody steals the picture, we don't want you suing us. So we're going to tell you right off, we own the picture, because that way you can't sue us for it. We don't want your picture. You know, we don't care what you had for lunch. You know, they're not going to use our pictures and try and print them because they're not going to print at that quality anyway. So that's the whole deal. Everybody goes, oh man, they say they own my picture. No, they don't. They just don't want you suing them. And that's all. It's no big deal. At least my opinion, from what I have observed. So any other questions? God, we made it 15 minutes after. I didn't think it was going to take 45 minutes. So yeah, do you want me to put a link on there for the how to win friends and influence people? Just don't tell anybody who gave it to you.
Sure.
It's from 1930. Another 10 years, it'll be free anyway, right?
Probably already is public domain.
Probably is. Might as well be. So any other questions?
How much does Squarespace usually run?
Squarespace? Depends. There's a couple of different ones. And the funny thing is they don't tell you how much until you start a site, and then they'll tell you how much different ones cost. It's between 20 and 25 a month. It's a little pricey, but you know, it's you, and it's got it. I've never seen it down ever. It's always been pretty simple. So well worth it. The website server host that I was using went from $50 to $250 for a year. It's like, that seems high. So that's why I did my own thing. Part of the reason. But they're all going to cost you somewhere between 20 and 25 a month, I think. Do you have one now?
No, I do not.
Ah, okay. Yeah, it's a little pricey, but it's one of those things you got to do. A lot of things cost money. The training site that I have, I pay $25 a month for the videos. I pay that can only be seen on the site. I pay $25 a month to have members who can only who can get into the site and other people can't. So yeah, it's expensive to make money. So that's why when I find a free thing, I try and really use it, like MailChimp. Once I get 2,000 subscribers, MailChimp will be worth paying money to, you know, because, well, I don't have that many people looking at my pictures. And if one of those people a month takes my class, then I'm good. You know, so you got a lot of hats back there.
One of the things I collect.
Ah, well, keeps the sun off of that.
Yeah, well, yeah. When you got this, man, you need hats.
Yeah, if you were in Arizona, you definitely would. So any other questions? Let's see, started with Wix. Yeah, Wix works pretty good. Do they still do ads? See, the problem was there with Wix, if you didn't pay for that thing, they would stick ads at the bottom, and I certainly didn't want to advertise other people.
Yeah, this is Beth Dave. I do the monthly subscription, so I don't see any ads.
Right.
And I was a little intimidated trying to figure out which site to go with, and I wanted something pretty simple. Mm-hmm. And just to, you know, get my feet wet and stuff. And Wix did that for me, and it's been about 1.5 years now, and it seems to be doing pretty well.
Beth, this is Kelly. What is your amount you pay per month?
I think it's about 20 or 25.
So, PhotoBiz, have you seen our site, right? CaptureTrees.com.
Yeah.
What's really cool about PhotoBiz is they have probably 50 different website templates, meaning different looks, different functionality, different, you know, whatever. So once you build a site, all you have to do is go to one of the other templates, click one button, and your entire website completely changes its look. Everything stays as all the tabs are the same, names and drop downs and everything else, but it has a different look to it. And it's around $20 a month. That includes an email and you know all that other stuff. But yeah, PhotoBiz is an awesome choice.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. All of them. All
I
of
was
them.
going to say, I'll have to look at that.
Kelly, they all do that now, where you can change.
No, not like this. I've seen the other sites. They don't have the same functionality. If everybody did the same thing, there would be competition. But there's differences. And so all I'm saying is that the ease of use of the interface of PhotoBiz is to me, and I've seen quite a few of them, is the best out there for me. For when you want to go from this to this to this, you know, and everything else. And again, it's $20. And I think I get to. I don't remember how many, like 6,000 images I could put on my site if I wanted to. I don't need that many, but I could. Yeah, Rick, you use PhotoBiz too, yeah. I'm just saying, you really need to look at PhotoBiz.
Yeah, check them all out, because once you've made the decision, you kind of make the decision. It's like right now, if I decided I wanted to do something different, it's like, no way in hell am I trying to figure out how to make all of that go on another site.
Yeah. Well, one of the things they do is they take your old site, they evaluate your old site, and they can actually start your new site up using your data. And then you go back and QA it, make sure it's all good. And once you say you're good to go, bam, you're up and live. So they actually do that. So they port your old set into a new format, get it set up for you, and say, I'm good to go. And then bam, it starts. So anyway, hey, I've got to leave. I've got some people here saying goodbyes. So excellent job as always, Dave. So just turn it off when you're done. I know there's a lot of people still listening in. So.
Okie dokie. All right. Any other questions? Yeah, try that PhotoBiz. I mean, I've never heard of it, and it might be. I mean, there's tons of stuff. Every time I blink, there's a bunch of new stuff that I didn't see before. It's like, I don't know. For a techie guy, I'm afraid to take a nap anymore. I wake up and everything's changed. So any other questions or about that or anything? Or
this is great. Thank you.
Good. I'm starting to shoot again. Out in the forest where we can separate a lot. So we'll see. All right, guys, have fun. I'll put the video up in a little bit, along with the one about Wacom, which I forgot to put up the other day.
Fabulous.
So, all right, thanks.
Thanks, Dave.
Much.
Talk to you.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Wash your hands and stay safe.